I was guest leading the BBC Philharmonic Orchestra in Manchester. And Robert Cohen, whose festival we're at here, was the soloist. He was playing the Rococo variations in that programme, and that's how we met. And as a result of that, he invited me to come to this festival here. That was the first time meeting him, actually. And we played one concert together. Actually, here, they do a fundraising concert for this festival in December, and he asked me to come and do that with him, a duo concert. And then he invited me back to the festival this year. I suppose when people think about music from Ireland, they would very naturally think about traditional music, because that's probably our heritage, and classical music is a much younger form of music within Ireland. But it has a very prominent place, and it's very well supported by the Arts Council in Ireland, and they give a lot of funding to young composers, up-and-coming composers. We have lots of really good Irish composers at the moment. So it's I suppose we're a small country in the scheme of things, but I think things are improving, actually. We could be doing with a little bit more education in the schools, actually, to help and bring that along, because I think that when you educate children in musical education in schools, if they don't become musicians themselves, they at least have an appreciation for music, and they end up being the audience, which is exactly what you want at the end of the day. So I think we could be doing a little bit more of that, a little bit more primary and secondary school music education. Robert has brought many of the students from Lugano, where he teaches himself, and I think that's a particularly good thing to do for this festival. You know, he's giving these young people who are about to start out in their professional life a really wonderful opportunity to get very involved in chamber music. I think that's fantastic. My mother was a singer, and there were 5 children at home, and we all started on the piano. She encouraged us then to take up another instrument which was different from everybody else, in my case the violin. So I think she made us do our practice.
She's quite strict about that.
She was fairly strict, and she was absolutely right, I have to say, because if it hadn't have been for that, if it hadn't have been for her, I don't think I would be playing today.
Mothers know best.
They do.
We just take a long time to figure that one out.
Yeah.
And are there other musicians in your family that are performing?
Yeah, I have a sister who's a really good piano player. We do a lot of work together. And I have a brother who's a cellist. He does a lot of teaching as well. My 2 elder brothers did play instruments, but they've gone into business. They've moved into a different area, but they have a huge appreciation of music. One of them's absolutely mad about opera. My violin is by Giovanni Grancino, and it was made in 1706, and it's just completely a part of me. I mean, I just think...
Like a limb.
Yes, it's another limb. That's exactly it. It's like a different... it's just, I don't know what I would do without it, actually, you know. I've had it for 20 years. I've been lucky enough to own it for 20 years. This is fantastic on the back here, because this is all... I just take the shoulder rest off. But this is all original varnish, and when you think that this instrument is over 300 years old and is amazing, isn't it amazing?
It's extraordinary. What is it made of? What kind of wood?
You're asking me all the wrong questions. I don't know the answer to that.
I'm a lay person.
Oh my goodness. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure. You'd have to ask a violin maker that. But the interesting thing is, they don't a lot of the skills that the old Italian makers had to make these wonderful instruments have been lost to us now, and they don't know a lot of things that they knew then. For example, I think probably the wood was differently seasoned, and possibly the water was slightly different as well. Everything was, and you know, the varnish making is very unique. I mean, of course, modern makers make instruments with varnish on it, but I'm not sure it's exactly the same.
What are you playing for us this afternoon?
Mendelssohn Octet, which involves 8 string players, a lot of the students from Lugano as well. It's very interactive. It's going to be very exciting, I think.
Are you looking forward to it?
Very much so.
Is it quite a passionate piece?
It's a very passionate piece, yes. And also very light and airy. Some of his music is really... He writes these scherzo movements which are just off the cuff. Sort of fly away. The Last Rose of Summer.
Have you ever performed any other sort of contemporary music?
A lot of contemporary music, yes, and yes. I've had pieces written for me as well by Bill Whelan, who wrote the music for Riverdance. I commissioned a piece from him, and at the moment, James Macmillan, the Scottish composer, is writing a piece for me as well. I'm very interested in that. I'm passionate about tango music. Don't ask me where it comes from.
Where does that come from?
No idea. I really don't know. The only thing I could think of is my father, who's actually dead now, but he was very dark-skinned and he came from the west of Ireland. And they say that part of the Spanish Armada went down off the coast of Ireland, the west coast of Ireland, you know. And I looked at him and I used to think, yeah, I mean, he could be from sort of that part of the world, you know, that Spanish influence. So I'm putting it down to that.
Could you show us the inside of your violin case? That absolutely piqued my curiosity.
Goodness, it's just bits and pieces that you collect over the years, do you know? Well, this is myself and my husband at my parents-in-law wedding anniversary. Mm-hmm. And these are cards from people whom I've worked with, and now there you go. Love and many thanks for everything, Bill. That's from Bill Whelan, because I played his piece recently on St. Patrick's Day. So those little things I keep in my case, you know, from conductors and things like that. There's another one there. Let's see what this one says. Can't even remember. Who's this from now? Thank you for the hard work and dedication. I think that's Katrina, actually, yes.
I can read that, yeah.
Yeah.
Katrina.
Yeah.
What's that over there?
This is a hygrometer. It's, you know, if it gets very dry, it'll show you, and then, you know, it's bad for the instrument, so you have to put this thing into it. I'll show you this. This is something called a dampet.